for that reason.
Coming up. So, why the two Roshans? Roshan, the terrifying beast, the holder of the Aegis of Immortality, the strongest unit in Dota 2. Except he usually dies in about 10 seconds flat. Many have called for him to be buffed recently, and in this particular DPC Pro game, Roshan took matters into his own hands and summoned his twin brother, who I've affectionately named Steve. But how did Steve come about? And how did this bug almost cost this team the game? And why on earth did they not cancel the game? And who even is Rosh? Is he a monster or just a misunderstood cheese salesman? Now I want cheese. First, a bit of context. About a week before the incident, eHome played Ares in a China DPC match. Everything was going as smoothly as Gaben's freshly waxed chest when suddenly disaster struck.
It looks like everybody got kicked out.
Yeah, like
A
player lost connection to the game, and when they came back, they were forced into the coaching slot. Now, this means he could no longer control his hero or really do anything. Bummer. Now, considering this was only 6 minutes into the game, you would have thought this would be a simple case of remaking the lobby with the same heroes, but Ares already had a sizable advantage. They'd had 7 kills by this point in the game, partly due to their creative drafting when they moved Pudge to the offlane and picked Marcy in position 1. This gave them a huge advantage, a lot of gold, and they didn't want to remake the game. Perfect World understood them, and they went to Valve and took the issue all the way over to them. Gaben came down and told us, "Do not worry, children. I will use my powers to remake the game from the stage in which it broke." Great, I think. Fast forward a week and the new lobby with the saved game state is ready to go. The players are excited to play it, I'm excited to host it, and the fans are excited to watch it. It all goes off without a hitch. Ares continue to dominate, then they approach Roshan's pit to claim the Age of Immortality, and it all goes wrong. Templar Assassin starts hitting Roshan, and the guy fucking splits in 2. That's right, there were 2 Roshan units right on top of each other, so you couldn't actually see them both until you started attacking him. Now, I think it's important to reiterate here, this has never happened in a game of Dota before. There's never been 2 Roshans ever before, pub, pro match, whatever. It should be impossible. You kill Roshan, and after 8 to 11 minutes, he respawns with an Aegis again. There's no time for overlap here, so this is entirely unique. You're watching this channel, so I'm sure you're very smart and have already figured it out, but to fill you in on basically what happened, the game was loaded from a saved state. This used to be a feature many moons ago, but it was axed because no one really used it, so it's not really surprising that there was an issue. To put it simply, the map was created blank, but Roshan is the very first unit to spawn into the game, therefore there was already a Roshan there for some reason before the map was populated with heroes, towers, creeps, and another Roshan, and thus Steve was born. The only difference between him and Roshan was the fact that Steve didn't have an Aegis. Poor Steve. From this point onwards, the video is pretty much going to be commentary over the game, explaining what happened and watching what went down. But it was really interesting, very exciting, it was a hype match anyway, and the double Roshan thing was just a super interesting twist, which caused a lot of turns along the way, so I suggest watching. So, back to the game, where Ares pause and there's a lot of confusion, and not just from the players.
Particularly a very good Pudge game for that reason.
So, why are there 2 Roshans?
Oh no. I didn't even...
I wasn't looking at this either.
The admins basically said, I don't know, lol, and told the players to just get on with it. Alrighty. Well, Ares realized they can't take 2 Roshans at once and leave the pit. Now, this is already a big hit to their game plan, and it kind of ruins their tempo, but they continue to do well despite of this, and eventually they approach Roshan and Steve's pit once more. Better prepared, but not prepared enough, apparently. You see, Roshan's bash is pretty damn good, and now double it, and now do that to Marcy, and throw a Wrath of Nature on top of it for good measure, and yeah. She gets her truffles ruffled and has to run away on a sliver of HP. eHome sees the opportunity to run into the pit, killing Templar Assassin, Pudge, Roshan, and Steve. What a twist. As mentioned, they don't get the 2 Aegises, but they do get the XP and the gold for both Rosh and Steve, and 1 Aegis from Rosh himself. Thus, a huge swing in the gold advantage in their favor for the first time in this game. Ares in the post-game interview tell us that they were pretty tilted at this point in the game. I mean, who wouldn't be? But they got their emotions under control, and they just play safely for 5 minutes until the Aegis expires, making the big, scary Terrorblade vulnerable, and use the opportunity to kill him. Now, despite this big win, they're still not in the lead or even in control of this game. Ares miss a smoke gank, and they have to get back and deal with their lanes. They're playing against the Nature's Prophet, so the lanes are constantly being shoved in, and the next Roshan respawns, and crucially, this counts as a third Roshan off the game because of Steve, meaning that there's an Aegis, a cheese, and a refresher shard on this Rosh. And who's the E-home carry, by the way? Oh yeah, it's Terrorblade, who absolutely loves Refresher Shard for his massive Metamorphosis cooldown. Poor Ares, these guys really cannot catch a break. E-home take this Rosh super quickly, and things are starting to look really bad for poor old Ares. E-home charge up the high ground, looking to push the advantage. Ares can't contest the massive Terrorblade with Aegis and Refresher, but they can jump in and grab a few pickoffs. They have a lineup of Marcy with Dispose, Pudge with Hook, and even Windranger with Gale Force. This sort of forces E-home to overextend and makes it really easy to get some more pickoffs. Throw in this tasty little hook from Pudge, and suddenly, Terrorblade's all alone. They kill him twice, and bang, it's a full team wipe. I try to be unbiased when working, but I have to say I was rooting for little Ares in this one, who had just had the world thrown at them and kept fighting for this win. They get a lane of racks in the middle lane, then back themselves away. Both teams play cat and mouse for a while, waiting for the next Roshan to spawn. The third Roshan, that is, or the fourth, or whatever. The time comes. E-home are in the pit first, and they get to work on taking down this massive Roshan, who now has Aegis, Cheese, Refresher, and Aghanims. Ares get there in time, and both teams clash outside the pit. E-home get a lot of damage off, but Void Spirit steps too close to the Pudge and once again gets brought down. Then, the moment Terrorblade's BKB ends, they focus everything they've got on him, and they kill him. In desperation, TB buys back, but it is too late. There's nothing to be done. Ares finish Roshan and are ready to push for the win. Ares' high ground fight starts off poorly. The Treant overextends, trying to hold E-home back and gets himself killed off. The Nyx on E-home is traded, but the Terrorblade is able to take the Aegis away from Templar Assassin. Oh dear. E-home set up to kill the TA a second time, and this is when Marcy does something seemingly insane. She leaps in and tanks almost every ability they are just about to throw at the Templar Assassin, but actually, TA didn't have buyback, and Marcy did, so Ares make the sacrifice. They sacrifice buyback on Marcy in an attempt to just end the game here and now. It's bold, it's brave, and for a while, it looks like E-home are going to get the chance to recuperate, and that's when Marcy jumps a Void Spirit. No defensive item on him means that he's an easy kill, and Ares rush the E-home base. A hook onto Terrorblade is the final nail in the coffin for E-home, and as he dies, so do E-home's chances of winning this game. And that's it. Ares take the victory in one of the craziest games I've ever worked on. And that's going to just about do it for this video. But should they have remade the lobby when they saw there were two Roshes? And what would we have done if E-home had actually won that game? It's an awkward, complicated, and unique situation, which is also how my mum used to describe me as a child. Let me know what you think should have happened in the comments down below, and also let me know your favorite kind of cheese, because I always like talking about cheese. And I'll see you next time.